Next up, Russ and I are going to check out new 4K announcements from Kino, Vinegar Syndrome, Scream Factory, and more.
And if you like this video, do us a favor and just click that like button. Drop us a comment. We love reading them. Hell, I respond to damn near everyone. And make sure you're subscribed.
Do your job, man. Keep the peace.
We're going to start with Kino. And Kino popping out Face Off. Now, this is coming out this year, according to them. There's no date or anything, but it is coming out, and it's pretty wild. Again, I just love what Kino's doing. They're just like throwing out all these interesting titles, and Face Off is definitely going to be one of those. Again, no details really, other than it's got a 4K restoration from the original camera negative with HDR. This is apparently, from what I can read, a very highly sought after 4K release for people. Fans are ecstatic that this is coming out. And apparently this also has a terrible Blu-ray release, which
it does.
And it's been sorely needed according to the fans.
It does. I own that Blu-ray. It is shit.
You watch your mouth.
And for the most part, Kino does a pretty good job with their transfers. I know we've talked about a few that were maybe hit or miss, but hopefully the fans will be pleased with, what goes on here. Who do you think owns this movie more? Travolta or Cage? We'd have
to do an entire segment on that alone.
Right. Especially because they switch into each other.
I know.
It's like they're doing they're doing their own selves, and then they're trying to do the other person.
I know. I don't know. The scene when Travolta is talking to his wife as Nicolas Cage, I think Travolta might have won. And that's an amazing feat. He went up against Nicolas Cage. Yeah. And I think Travolta might have out-caged Cage.
Oh, my God. When he's like flirting with his wife or whatever, and they like zoom in on her body and like they try to make her ass look good. And it's like...
I hate to see you go. I love to watch you leave.
It's got like a braided belt
on. Oh, yeah. Who's
the woman? Pleated khakis on?
What's her name? Is the wife.
Joan Allen.
Joan Allen.
Yeah. Look how hot Joan Allen can be. Wrong. Come on, John Woo. He's like, this is what American women are like. Like, no, dude.
This is American eye candy, Joan Allen.
I think John Woo was interested in making a film that, has a lot of heart.
Nicolas Cage was just literally giving an interview for some new movie that he's in. And he was saying, there's an idea for Face Off 2 floating out there. He was like, look, this would involve like our grown children. The possibilities are endless. It's like we're face swapping with our kids. Like, who the frig knows what's going on?
You know what? Perfect.
Just bring it. Just bring it.
This is the perfect title to do something like that with. And this is why it's so sought after and people love it, because it's goofy as fuck, but it's John Woo. It's so damn well made for such a goofy concept.
Yes.
And it's like, you're right. Make it more absurd, Cage. Bring in the kids. Bring in any
the animals.
Stupid. He dies at the end of the fucking movie. Bring him back.
Bring him
Who
back
cares?
with a dead zombie.
That's what I'm saying. This is the title to do it with, for damn sure. Let's go.
Let's go wild. So Face Off, Kino Lorber, awesome. Once we have an update, we'll bring it. Another movie that they announced, which I was completely blown away by because I forgot about this movie and I'm so on the fence about buying it, is Making Mr. Right. Have you seen this movie, Russ?
Yo, this is a funny story, Matt. So I saw this listed. I almost said something to you about it, and I second guessed myself. I was like, he's not going to know what the hell I'm talking about.
Do you like this movie?
I don't know.
Is that because you're uptight?
I watched it as a kid. To this day, I remember Malkovich.
Yeah.
I remember the setup.
Yep.
I remember, do they play the Turtles happy together in this movie?
100%.
I remember that. That's about it.
If this movie was on, I watched it.
Yeah.
That was it. That was it. And
but I can't tell you a damn thing about it.
I have a lot of strong flashes of this
Yeah,
movie.
same.
I can remember scenes. I can remember moments.
But I don't know the damn plot or anything else.
I still do. I still remember it.
Dude, I just told you what am I, like a Turtles fan?
Yeah,
Who the fuck knows that?
Don't say that, please.
John Malkovich is goofy in this, and Magnuson, who I don't really know too much from anything else. But
who the fuck is she?
I don't know, but I liked her. John Malkovich is a scientist who is socially awkward. He develops a robot who looks exactly like him, and the plan is that he's going to send this robot off into space for exploration or whatever. But,
Sold.
But then the robot itself starts to go out into society and becomes more human than John Malkovich himself. So she falls in love with the robot, and it's like, dude, it's wild. And that's what I'm saying. I kind of want to buy this just to watch it, just because it's great. Now, it's not coming out in 4K. It's just Blu-ray, but it's a new 2K restoration. It's got a new commentary with the director, Susan Seidelman, and the star, Ann Magnuson. She's coming back.
Oh, my God.
New interviews with both those ladies as well, but no Malkovich. Also, RIP to Glenn Headley. She was in this movie.
Oh, was she?
She was like the
I'm a
best
fan
friend.
of her.
I'm in it. Make it Mr. Right. You might have a pre-order out of me after
Remember when
this.
that robot's head fell off when Glenn Headley was trying to seduce it?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, it is funny.
If that's true, kid, you got less brains than a woodpecker on an aluminum telephone pole.
Next up, our friends at Vinegar Syndrome, who are just continue to stay on my radar. They had always been out there. I'd never owned anything from them. I was always intrigued by the titles they released. I finally got my first one in my hands, Roadhouse, which we're going to talk about later. When I saw that Sidekicks was coming out in 4K, I was just like, wow, like this movie of all movies to come out of 4K, like what a time to be alive. And the fact that Vinegar Syndrome themselves are the ones putting it out, it's like just nuts to me. I don't know. What did you see that and were like, wow, or did that make sense?
I see what you're saying. Sidekicks had a major theatrical release, and we were alive to experience it, so it probably feels bigger than their other titles to us.
Yeah.
But that's a bias. It fits in.
So this is its debut in not only 4K, but Blu-ray from what I could tell. I think this has only been out on DVD, and it's coming with a new 4K restoration from the 35mm camera negative, HDR presentation, all that stuff. New audio commentary from Aaron Norris, the director, Chuck Norris's brother. I didn't no idea he directed this movie. That's wild. I mean, I didn't know anything about Chuck Norris's family, that he had a brother or anything, but the fact that his brother directed it, it's like, I guess that's why Chuck's in it. 5 new interviews, including with Aaron Norris, the director, some actors, not Jonathan Brandis, rest in peace.
Yeah, I know.
Joe Piscopo's very much alive. But he didn't come back. I mean, it's essentially Karate Kid, right? I mean, it's like almost beat for beat Karate Kid. There's a Mr. Miyagi character. There's an evil dojo trying to take something seriously, but at the same time not. Like Joe Piscopo as the evil, like Karate Kid sensei. He's playing it comedically. Jonathan Brandis, who has like asthma through the whole movie, and he's constantly like breaking down. They call him like the bullies who are all there. Call him like Barry Wary.
So where's your friend Chucky now, retard?
Mr. Miyagi guy, who's played by this actor, he just goes by one name, Mako.
Oh, yes.
Who's Chuck Norris in this movie?
Chuck Norris is like in his imagination. So he's really into Chuck Norris. I don't know if it's movies or books or something that he's got. And every once in a while, he'll imagine himself in a Chuck Norris movie, like Missing in Action or something.
He plays himself?
Yeah, he's in it, playing himself.
I had no idea that's what it was.
There's a big like karate tournament, like there is in Karate Kid, and really? Chuck Norris himself is there. And it's like a big whoa shit moment for the main character. So it's kind of good. It's got that heart like most of these movies have. It's like, for me, Karate Kid was too embedded in me to like look at this and be like, this is a Karate Kid ripoff, get this shit out of here. But it's not a bad movie. I think
the entire world felt that.
And that's why it was rejected, I think. But I don't think it's a bad movie overall. Beau Bridges is in it. Some of his finest work. The only thing, I'll just give this one sort of why Karate Kid is slightly better than this movie. Let's see if anyone agrees with me out there for people that have seen this. I think in the final fight, there's obviously like a main bad guy bully type that he's got a showdown with. And I think they punk out a little bit with it because in Karate Kid, there's the fight and, Daniel gets hurt and he has to come back and he does the crane kick that he's been practicing the whole damn movie and it works and it's great, even though, it's like probably in real life that would never work. In this movie, there isn't really a fight as much as it's a demonstration. So it's like who can break the most bricks and then who can do the best like nunchuck like routine. Mm-hmm. When it's time for Jonathan Brandis to do his nunchuck routine, which he's been practicing the whole movie, you're like, oh shit, let's see what he's going to do. It like flashes into his like imagination and he's dressed head to toe in like a ninja outfit where you can't see him at all. And it's clearly not him. And it's like badass as hell. And then it cuts back and it's him holding it and everyone's cheering. It's like not realistic.
Yeah, I know.
But anyway, yeah, so this is coming out, Vinegar Syndrome. I'm torn on picking this up. I think the art's badass. I mean, I know you haven't seen it, but it's pretty cool. I think it's like the character likenesses are great.
Yeah, this is one of those movies I love when like a release like this comes out and it piques my interest into, hey, I should check that out. Yeah. I never saw it.
So then another cool announcement from Vinegar Syndrome, which I know you're pumped about.
Well, I am pumped. I think a lot of people are.
Are you sure we're ready for this?
This is coming out, Vinegar Syndrome From Beyond, January 31st, just like Sidekicks, in a 4K Blu-ray combo pack, just like Sidekicks also. And like you said, it was previously out, collector's edition from Scream Factory. If you're a fan of this film, I don't think, once again, Vinegar Syndrome is like disappointing you at all. It comes with a new 4K restoration from the original camera negative, HDR, all that good stuff. A new 97-minute documentary on the making of, with interviews from literally everybody possible.
Barbara Crampton talking about it for an hour and a half. I'll watch. How you feel about Joan Allen? I mean, you're going to get Barbara Crampton and Dominatrix get up in 4K. Your move, Joan Allen.
You're get those pleated khakis out of the closet. Let's see what you got.
No.
Some of our other favorites, Scream and Shout Factory. So they talked about their March releases. They really just gave the titles. They didn't really say anything else about them. Like, here's what's coming. There's going to be plenty more to discuss later on.
They're just reissuing their blues.
I don't get it.
The first one that's coming out in 4K is Streets of Fire from Shout Select. So this was previously out in Blu-ray from Shout Select. Now it's coming out in 4K. I'm assuming it's just probably a repeat. The Shout Select Blu-ray was also a collector's edition. I don't know anything about this movie other than that I know that Willem Dafoe's in it. I've seen some images of him in it, and he looks wild. But the other thing that kind of like took me aback, and then Rick Moranis is in it.
Well,
that shocked me completely.
For those listening, I texted you on the side about this movie, and I thought that because I watched it when that Blu-ray came out. I had never seen it either. I did the same thing. I was like, Rick Moranis?
Yeah.
I was like, what the
Like,
fuck?
what
I had
is
no
this?
idea. And he's a main character.
Yes, he's like second
in
build or something.
He's in like the whole damn movie.
Yeah.
And it's a fucking musical.
That's what I'm
saying.
saying.
It's weird as shit.
Is this a repeat by Russ?
No.
People hated this movie, apparently, from what I read.
Yeah, it's...
Like, the main character, they were like, he just didn't get it.
I think you're forgetting something. I got the gun.
Yeah, miscast. But I mean, you got Diane Lane, you got Rick Moranis, you got Willem Dafoe. It's a weird movie. You won't be bored.
Okay.
You will not be bored. It's entertaining. It's one of those movies like, God damn, this is the 80s. Yeah. That's the kind of movie that is destined to be a cult film.
Let us know if you're a fan of that at all. Another one that's coming out from Scream Factory is the Exorcist III Director's Cut. Now, this is 4K, coming from Scream Factory.
Again, a reissue.
It's all right. A lot of people wouldn't know the difference either.
Yep, previously released in a collector's edition from Blue from Scream Factory. What's really crazy, and I'm going to reference this again later, and this is going to be one of those moments, just like Raiders of the Lost Ark or some shit, where I tell you, I have only seen parts of The Exorcist. I have seen The Exorcist 3 in the theater.
It's all right. I understand.
Dude, we were like 8 years old.
Dude, I know. I don't know who took me to see it, but I saw this in the theater.
Even at 8 years old, the original would probably hold your attention, where Exorcist 3 is... No wonder you like George Scott.
It is not in the file. It is not.
Wait, what were your thoughts of Exorcist 3 at 8 years old?
Weird. Like, I didn't really...
You couldn't have understood.
I didn't.
Honestly, it's convoluted. It's a heavy movie.
I do remember even knowing this then was the guy that like jumps out the window at the end, like that, whoever that character
Father
is.
Damien.
Yeah, like I recognized him as being in this movie, but I didn't know the ending really. I just knew, oh, he's in this too. That's all I knew as a kid for whatever reason.
Exorcist 3 is good.
The theatrical one, I don't remember really but much at all, but apparently the director's cut is the one that they always wanted to have out.
Exorcist 3, and this is very rare. Ask anyone who knows me, you can ask my wife. I don't jump at anything. There's one part in Exorcist 3. I jumped. I was like, oh shit, in one part. And if anyone's seen it, they probably know. It's so minor, but it's shot so well. It's so effective.
I didn't remember Brad Dourif was in this until I saw the names.
He's in jail, and George C. Scott goes to talk to him.
But when George C. Scott goes there, he sees him as the original guy, right?
I know nothing.
Have you noticed there are no releases of 2? Even you, of all people, if you saw Exorcist 2, you're like, nah, I'm skipping the box set on that one.
And then lastly, in the boutique roundup, Boyhood. So Boyhood is coming out March 27th on 4K Ultra HD from Arrow. This was previously released by Criterion back in 2016. This is UK only, so there still is that opportunity for Criterion to swoop in for their 4K upgrade, or Kino to steal it from them.
Great.
I don't know what you think. This, again, is one that Arrow's putting out that I'm like, Arrow? And I'm sure fans of this movie, they just want the 4K. I don't care that they care so much, but it's just another movie for them, which I just thought was a little strange. Now, nothing's really been mentioned about the upgrade itself, other than it will have Dolby Vision, but nothing else about like where the transfer's coming from. Now, I will say The features here, and Arrow's usually pretty good for this kind of stuff, but the features here, in my opinion, are very lackluster in comparison with what Criterion gave to you.
Sorry.
You're getting a featurette with a film critic and his son about their shared love for movies. Okay. Then you're going to get a visual essay about the movie by some other critic. You're going to get a previously unheard interview with Richard Linklater, and then some BFI ceremony that he was at where he discusses his career. Now, check out the Criterion features. A feature-length documentary on the making of this movie, which is honestly probably all anyone wants.
Yeah.
I mean, considering what this movie is,
and that's
12 years
what's
in the
interesting
making,
about the movie is
Right.
you'd want to see how it was made because
Exactly.
it spans so much time.
Exactly. So it's like you're missing out on that in this release, which I think is a
That
shame.
is kind of shitty.
Thank you.
You're also getting interviews with all of the main cast on the Criterion version. There's also a video essay about Linklater's use of time in his films and portraits of the cast over the years that they filmed it. So the features there are clearly better. I found this movie personally just to be okay, which is probably not what Linklater wants to hear after spending 12 years on it, but it just was kind of okay to me. Like, what do you think? I don't know.
I've never seen it.
You never saw it? Really? I didn't know that.
I think you and I talked about it years ago when it came out.
You desire to see it or no?
Yeah,
Okay.
dude, I bought that Criterion
Oh, you did?
and I still haven't
Okay.
watched it. And I'll explain to you why. And I think you know where I'm going to go with this. The fucking length.
Yeah, it's like 3
I
hours
don't want
plus.
to. Yeah, and
Or close to 3 hours maybe.
Every time I've kind of, and it just doesn't strike me as a movie. I just want to commit 3 hours. And
Yeah.
I hate saying that because Linklater is probably in my top 5. I love his shit for the most part. He's kind of fallen off in recent years, but there's almost like 2 iterations of him. There's almost a commercial Linklater and then like the independent artsy one. And yes, this is probably the biggest, the one that had the most attention out of the artsier ones.
Yeah. Do you know what he's working on now?
No, I don't actually.
Linklater's newest movie is called Merrily We Roll Along, and it's going to be filmed over the course of 20 years. Hopefully he's still alive at the end of it. What's his age at this point? But yeah, so I think it's got Beanie Feldstein in it.
Great.
But yeah, so he's doing the same thing again. It's a musical or something about music. I'm not sure, but it's going to be 20 years of his time and his life. And hopefully at the end of that, I'm not like, it was okay.